All right, so good evening, everyone. We started our PHP training last week, and we're able to cover some ground regarding the background of PHP and installation of it. So that's what we're able to do last week. Yeah, yeah. So we're able to look at installation of PHP, how PHP got to be, get. So PHP is one of the widely used scripting server language. Okay, so it's one of the most widely used scripting server language in the world. Yeah, because of its easy and deployment and what again, cost effective, because you can just get a server with a cPanel, a simple server with a low cost, and you have PHP running on it. It's different from you having a server having Python or Java running on it. Those ones are more costly. And the reason why they are costly is because they are much more used to develop wide applications that are that involve volumes, that involve bigger tasks. PHP can do bigger tasks, but the reason why PHP is widely used is that it is cost effective. It can run for your little service. Maybe you want to deploy a service that is that has like maybe 800,000 users or so. You know, PHP is something you can rely on to carry that out, to carry the requests, receiving requests from your clients and able to execute it. Everything will be fine. But when we are looking at 100 users on an application and you are deploying Python or Java for it, it's as if you are cutting more than yourself. You get, it's as if you are in the place of, you want to travel and you have two passengers, and you are giving option for a sports car, and you now say that no, it's a coastal bus that has like 100 capacity that you want to use for two users, maybe for two passengers. You say that it is not reasonable. So that is how it is. So PHP can be on the low cost form, and also can cover for large. But when it comes to large scale production, people rather don't use PHP because things can get complex and you can get in trouble easily. So all these things, will get familiar with these scenarios and this technical analysis later on in our meeting. All right, so after saying that, one thing we're able to cover last week is installation of PHP. So we're able to know how PHP runs. Wait, hold on, please. There's some distraction here. Oh, yeah. All right, I have to take care of some distraction. Okay, so last week, we cover installation of PHP. Let me just do an overview of it. All right, so what I taught us last week was that PHP is not standalone. PHP does not work alone. You get, for PHP to work, because it's server scripting. It's a server scripting, and there's a name they also call it. It's also different from Python. Python has a command line interpreter. PHP does not have that. PHP does not have a command line interpreter. What it means is, for Python, you can, just as we have shell script. Shell script is for Linux. Command prompt. We have shell script for Windows too. Like when you come here and you do something like, say, cd, when you're able to type some commands there and you get some response immediately, that's a shell script on the operating system. Python has the same thing. So when you install Python on a server, you can be able to interact using scripts. You can it can work in cooperation with the operating system with the kernel operating system. You can write some scripts from Python, and the computer will understand it and will be able to execute it based on the operating system, and you can do some stuff. But PHP doesn't have that. So PHP is basically basically an hosting server, meaning that it's used to host websites, web applications, APIs, and stuff like that. So if you want to install PHP, you can't install it alone. We have some applications that help you to bundle it together. So PHP runs on Apache. Apache is a server, just like we have different kind of server engines. So Apache, Tomcat, but the one that is most flexible to use with PHP is Apache. So Apache is the server configuration for the PHP programming. So for you to run your PHP, you have to install Apache. You have to install the PHP with it. The PHP rests on Apache. So for you to start using PHP, to run PHP, you have to start your Apache. So Apache is like a server. It runs on a particular port. All these things are automatically configured. And the application that helps you to install all this together is called XAMPP. XAMPP, XAMPP. It means A for Apache, M for MySQL, and P for PHP. So it installs everything together so that you can have all in one bundle. You have MySQL server, you have your Apache server, and you have your PHP application. All right. So this is for Windows. You can download it on just say download XAMPP for Windows. You can download it on your system and install. The installation is pretty straightforward. It's not complex. It's just a click away. Determine the directory you want to install it. By default, on Windows will tell you to install it here in your C drive, under C drive. This is my example here. So this is my example. When I finish installation, under XAMPP, htdocs, this is where my websites are. So all this folder contains my website. So when I want to run my application, I run it, I open the control panel, I start my server. This for my SQL. I can start, I don't need to start it, but if my PHP application is integrating with database, I will have to start this too. I don't need to start it. You can start and stop your server. What this means is running on port 80, and for HTTPS, 443, the default port. So I have some, so for example, this is an application on my side. This is an application on my side, TechHillCity. This is a web application, which I'm running using the Apache. I'm running it using the Apache. So this is default port 80. I explained localhost. Localhost is our default IP for a static computer. So the default IP is 127.0.0.1. The default port is 80. And I was also able to mention that when you are installing, sometimes you have some stuff on your system running that might have used port 80. In case you have that, you might need to configure another port for this, but that is when you are troubleshooting. So in case you install and you are finding trouble on starting your server, you can make it known to us on the Telegram. So I think that is sufficient for the cover up for last week. So we are going to start this week so that we don't bore ourselves too much immediately. So what are we going to learn this week? What we are going to learn is we are going to start with syntax, PHP syntax. You get? All right. So you can, if you have your laptop, you can go to this website, W3 Schools. It's going to be our training. It's good for training. It's recommended. It's actually for beginners, so it will get you familiar on time. You get. So now, let me check how many people is with us. Okay, just kidding. All right. So for this one, if you want to start PHP, there are some things called syntax. It's just like in English language, we have some syntax of English. When you want to write a sentence, when you want to write a letter, they say you break it into a paragraph. Yeah, you have comma, you have all those standard rules you have to follow so that your language, what you are communicating, your speech is understandable. So it's the same thing for PHP. There are some things that makes it to identify that this is a PHP, this is a PHP language, this is a PHP script, should be executed by PHP. So PHP, when you try to run it, PHP will have to check if it belongs to him, if it should execute as PHP language. So it checks for these tags. So the moment it's able to locate these tags, it will execute it as PHP, as a PHP code. Sorry, I'm having some distraction. All right. So now that apart, PHP can be embedded within HTML. I know David will be conversant with this since you have a background in HTML. So you can incorporate your PHP within your HTML. You can incorporate it within you can make your PHP communicate within your HTML, because PHP is a server language. If you remember what I told us about a server language, oh my. So what I was able to brought to our attention last week was that PHP is strictly a server language, and one thing server does is just like what you see in the restaurant. The customer is the client, makes a request and order, and the waiter is the server, gets it, returns what you ordered for, make your payment, get your receipt, then that's fine. You make your payment, you get your receipt, then you get your order. That's the same way it runs in this world, in this server world. So when you see a server, know that the how you can reach out to those servers is what we call application servers. You get how you can reach out to those servers. So the application server are like PHP. A server is something installed in the cloud, installed in the internet, that is available www. You get. So communicating to that server, you punch it and you make a request, then you get a response. You get your Facebook app, Facebook website, you put your username and password, you click login. The moment you click login, what you are doing is you are sending a request to who? To the Facebook server. You are not seeing the server. You are not seeing the app server. The app server is not processing the login. So the app server processes it, able to find your login details, username and password. It knows everything, does the logic, and it's able to return. It returns a response, but it must return a response. I told us last week. If you, by default, even if you don't specify to return a response, the server itself will give you a blank response. It must return a response within a speculated time after it has finished execution. So that is how it runs. So it gives you a response, gives you feedback of what you have done, and give you a receipt. The receipt is what we call HTTP status code. HTTP status code. I'm going to explain to us. So on the website, go to inspect. On any website, inspect. Go to network. The network tab will show you everything that is running on everything you try to access from the website. You get. So now you've clicked on network. You see this tab. This is name. This name shows you all the resources the website is trying to load. As you try to load the image, try to load these are images, try to load all your JavaScript, try to load everything. You get. So now all these things trying to load it from the server where this website is onboarded, where this website rests on the server. So when you send the request, see, we have name. I'm not saying that stuff again. Then you have name, and I saw something just now. Hold on. Let me reload. Okay, now this is name. Look at status. The status is your receipt. Status 200 means what you sent was successfully returned back to you. that it got what you requested for. What the client is requesting for, it got it. You get the server returned these resources successfully. That's why you get status 200. HTTP status 200. Let me drop it to you. Learn HTTP status responses. There are many. There are things you are conversant with. You have been saying it, but you might not know that this is what they mean. Status 200, status 400 means not found. You know that. This resource not found. That's status 404. No, 404 means not found. 500 means internal server error. Means there's something wrong in the application. 200 means successful. We are fine. It's green. We are fine. 404 is red. You would have seen all these things. So these are the things you watch out for a server communication. A client is your website. A client is your mobile phone. Anything that is physical, you interface with in the physical is your client. And whenever it's connected to the internet and it tries to connect one way or the other and it requires internet connection, what it's connecting to is a server. It's an application server. So it's requesting for something. When you open your Facebook, it loads your feeds. What it does is it goes into your record of your friends list and everything, tries to select data of people that have done a post, fetch it out for you, return the response back to you. That's what it's doing. So this is the basic thing of basic explanation of PHP. Please, if you have any question, interject me. It is supposed to be very interactive because I have to be sure that you are getting it. It's very, very important so that I do not lose you along the line. Do you understand this?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, just wanted to confirm that. All right, so we are going to start. I explained syntax. So syntax, we have syntax in PHP world. I'm going to be explaining to us. So now let's, on W3 schools, you can enable you to give you an environment to try the PHP code yourself. You can run it so that you can learn. You get. So now this is a basic. Let me remove those HTML braces so that we are rid of it because of people that maybe are not too conversant with HTML yet. Let's just focus on this. So this is a pure PHP syntax. This will still run for us, by the way. It will still run for us. It will still execute. So this is a pure PHP syntax. You get? This is a pure PHP syntax. You start opening the PHP brace and closing it here. Everything of your code will have to be written within this place. You get? Now, when we have something called PHP commands. We have something called PHP commands. What are commands? Commands are instructions to the application. Just like these are what we have learned before, just like what we learned in our integration and testing, where I'm able to put a command here. CD means list my directory. I think dir means list my directory. No, CD means my directory location at the moment. dir means list everything under this directory where I'm in. That dir is a command that the command prompt of Windows understand. It's different from what is available on Linux. CD is what is used to know my path. In Linux is pwd. So the same thing, we have some inbuilt commands in PHP. You will need to learn them. So number one, the first thing you need to learn is input commands. We will learn what is called an input command. But before we learn an input command, I will first of all take us through output and every other little command, because the little command, the input command can be trickish, can be kind of trickish. So now, for an output command, let me define computer again to us so that, okay, I don't know what is wrong with me. Oh, Joshua, your audio. Okay. Oh, Josh, please try to sort out your audio, but as far as you are paying, you can hear me. You can hear me, just make the reply on the chat, please. You can hear me. So before 10 minutes to the end of this session, I will get across to your, I'll get across to your questions and I will reply you. All right, so now there are basic commands. For example, this command called echo. Echo. See, you have to, in programming language, you have to be conversant with, some understand JavaScript. So it's the same thing. So David, you will say that these things are the same thing. JavaScript use something like alert, console.log, and all those stuff to output a response out. In PHP, so for PHP, for example, now, if you want to output a result, we use echo. Echo means I want to respond this, I want to return this thing back. It means I spoke back, like you spoke to me and I returned back what you spoke. You asked me, what is my name? And I'm able to tell you my name is, the intuition that responded that my name is the command. You issued me, what is your name? Then I issued back my name, you get? So that's why I said echo. Echo is a command recognized in PHP. So now let's go back to definition of computer. Computer is an electronic device that can accept data, process it, and gives an output. That's the basic explanation of computer. And that's the basic thing. That's what you have to have in your head for you to understand programming. So in next 9 minutes, we'll time out. So let's try and rejoin after that. So in PHP also, in other programming language, that's the standard. So you'll be learning standard. So this standard you learn will help you to be able to pick up any language and learn at your own free course. For any programming language, you must understand how it imputes, how it gets inputs. Number two, how it does process, how it process. Process like how it process arithmetic operations, how it process logics, how it process, see, arithmetic operation, logics, data merging, and so many things, data operations, then how it can output it. You get? Those are the basic thing of computer programming. You see, no matter what you want to do, maybe you want to build heaven and earth, is not beyond this. If you want to build heaven and earth, something must be feeding you with an input data, or is the computer feeding itself? And it's able to process, and it's able to output. So now you need to just trouble, your own trouble is, where are the commands to do this, to do input, to do processing, and to do my output? So if I say echo Tayo, hello Tayo. So at the end of every sentence, this is a sentence, and echo Tayo means I want it to respond Tayo back. At the end of every sentence, you end it with this semicolon. Is the standard, just like at the end of every sentence in English language, you put full stop. In PHP, you put semicolon. Other programming language actually share the same bias, like Java, JavaScript, and so on. PHP, you must put it. If you don't put it, it gives you an error. If I run this, you will get hello Tayo. This is my REST output here. Can you see? If I remove this guy, it will not understand. It will throw an exception. If I remove the we call it parenthesis. Okay, it's still able to give me response. Oh, that's strange. That's strange. That's strange. Let me try and do something that will throw an exception. All right, so we have an exception. Maybe PHP has upgraded. Maybe PHP has upgraded, but I'm sure what the version I'm used to is that if you don't put your parentheses to end the statement, you'll get an exception. Yeah, exception is a bug, something like an error, syntax error being thrown back, something like this. Get one error like that. So we are going to come to the place of error handling. So that's the basic thing on PHP, able to output a command. Now, the next thing we want to learn is, so you've learned the PHP structure and the output, this how to output, this is a command for output. So you'll be learning a lot of commands, you'll be getting used to a lot of them along this training. So we want to go to comments, okay? So I'll be taking you through this training using this guide. So in your own spare time, you can rewatch the video and practice it on your own. I'm telling you, if you can be able to master all of the training, we might not cover everything, but we'll go at length to cover most of it. But I'll get it to the point where you'll be comfortable. If you can cover all these things here, you can begin to apply for a PHP work. Yeah, you can begin to do PHP projects in PHP. If you can run like 2, 3, 4 projects, your eyes will be wide open to so many things. I'll be giving us projects to work on. Your eyes will be open to many things, and you can get jobs and do everything, get projects to do for people in this line. So there's something called comments. What is comment? Comment in PHP is a line that is not executed as part of the program. So comment is like this. So what comment does is, for example, you write like 1,000 line of code. There are sometimes those line of code, you want to be able to understand what some parts are doing. Because sometimes you write a code and when you come back years later, you might not understand what you yourself wrote again. I know David will be aware of this kind of stuff. So you put comments at different junction. Comment is used to guide you, to help you when you are coming back into the code you wrote before, to be able to know that in this place, so in this particular part, what I'm doing here is trying to calculate x plus y. What I try to do here is to get Joshua's name and process it. That's comments. They are for critical place in coding. And they're also used to, they're help to write a clean code, whereby you could be in different function and microservices in your application. You can be able to put comment there that, okay, this is what this one does, this is what this one does. So that whoever picks your code later on can be able to do what? Understand your code. Now, a good programmer is not somebody that just churns out programming codes, write codes, millions of lines of code. No, a good programmer is somebody that somebody else can pick his work and can understand it within 10 minutes. That's a good programmer. Yeah, we have many bad programmers where their own intuition is just, I want to get it to work. But at the end of the day, when they leave the project and somebody else comes in, or they have to hand over project to another person, they put the other person in trouble. You get. So we'll learn all these standards in programming language too. Yeah. So that's it on the on this particular on comment. That's what you need to know on comment. So how do you do it? You put backward slash. This is used to display Tayo's name. You see, this part is highlighted green because it's showing that it will not be executed. So PHP does not recognize this. So it just bypasses it when it sees it. Yeah, so bypass it. I think there's another one like this. Is it this one? No, it's not this. Okay, no. Like I want to, like my comment is more than one line. I use this. You see, I use this. It will not execute anything within this. So if it's more than one line, I use this /* then at the end of it, */. If it's one line, I just put hello. If it's one line, I use this //. That's all. Okay, that's all you need to know. I don't need to waste time on that. So the next one is variable. Yeah. So now I think this will cover. We should be able to cover variables and data types today. Variable, data type. All right. So what do you need to learn about variable? So this, I will do a very deep explanation here for us. Now, what is a variable? Variables are containers for storing information. That is the basic explanation of it. Variables are containers for storing information. How? In mathematics, what we call algebra, they tell us x equals to 10. No, how did they do it? Oh, okay, x equals to y equals to 10 plus x. Then you hear when y equals to 3, find x. X there is the variable. You get. X is the variable. Y is also variable. For example, this is what I'm talking about. Y equals x plus 10. Joshua is a guru in mathematics. He will catch this very quick. Y equals x plus 10. Then, no, is how. Then you now say y equals 4. Then find x. Find x. So this is a basic algebra in mathematics. This basic algebra in mathematics. So in this, y is a variable and x is a variable. Y is a variable, x is also what? A variable. You get? So why is y a variable? Y is a variable because it is holding a value. And the value assigned to y is what? 4. The initial value for y here is x plus 10. Now, we now specify that if y equals to 4, find x. So the value for X was not given. So X has to be what? Sought out. So X is a variable that we don't know. Y is a variable that is known. Y is holding 4. Then how do we solve? How to solve this? So we have less than 1 minute. It will time out. So let us rejoin. Thank you. So how do we solve this? How we solve this is, in our mathematics, we do like this. In algebra, X equals to 10. You take Y to the other side. Take X to the, how do we do it? X, I forgot it. My God. X plus 10 equals to, let me try like this, Y. I'm just doing this. This is not how it's going to be done. I'm just commenting it to tell me what I'm supposed to do. So here we have, okay, X. So now it's going to be X equals to Y minus 10. You take 10 to the other side, becomes minus 10. You get, so now since you have said Y equals to 4, the computer understands that this guy, the value Y here is 4 because Y is holding 4. So now your answer, you can say echo. Echo So David, you can ask me any question as I'm going. I know that all these things you are familiar with it. All right, so let's have our answer. Hello, you see now, very good. I spoke to you also about PHP being an interpreter. An interpreter means it executes line by line. Now, because this was the first thing I instructed the PHP language, echo Tayo. Hello, Tayo. So the first thing it does is it just puts hello, Tayo. And it goes on to execute the next line of code. The next line of code is what? Hold on, let me upload this stuff here for myself. Oh, yeah. All right, the next line of code is what? Y equals X plus 10. This is actually a formula we want to calculate. This is a problem we wanted to solve. Then I came to say here, Y equals to 4. So Y is a variable. Then what I wanted to calculate is X equals to Y minus 10. So the computer knew that Y is 4. So the computer assigned where this Y is assigned for, because we've already specified this, but value for X we don't know. So it will go ahead to calculate this value, and we said echo answer equals to X. So it's going to give us the answer for this, for X. It's going to give us the answer. So that's why we have hello Tayo, answer this minus 6. Minus 6 is our answer. Now let me explain what has happened there. So their syntax. So the syntax for representing a variable in mathematics is just alphabet, Y or X or anything like that, find X. But in PHP, the way to recognize that this is a variable is this $sign. I know you would have been wondering why this $sign. So dollar is used to represent the variable. You see, Y is used to dollar is used to represent the variable, so it has to be dollar this. A variable can be what? Can be this. A variable can be underscore answer. You see, a variable can be this. A variable cannot be, you can't have variable as numerical. You can't have a number as a variable. It may accept it, but it's very bad. You don't. A variable must be an alphabet, a noun. Alphabet, a noun. A noun is the name of a place, a thing. A noun. An alphabet, a noun. Let's just keep it as that. Something reasonable that people can process, such like this, balance. A variable as balance means something like your balance, your remaining balance. Variable can be something like this, debit. Debit is something recognizable, an English term. Debit, it means that this is holding a value for a debit. So now that you have understood how a variable is created, a variable has a $sign at the back. Then a now. Variable is used to hold an object. How is it holding the object? Where is the object stored? You know, we have something like RAM. We have a RAM on the computer. Computer is an electronic device that accepts input. So it's able to accept. So this has already covered up the definition of our computer. Accept input. And it's not in any line. It can, first of all, print. It's the same thing. Accept input. You see, in this place now, echo hello Tayo. What it's doing is printing the input of Tayo and processing the print out, the print of it out. Echo hello Tayo is a processing, meaning that we want to respond, we want to display hello Tayo. Hello Tayo is the input here in this side. That's that. So now let's come to here, to this place. Input, your input is what? Y equals to 4. Then this is your processing. This is what is processing. It's processing y minus 10 and storing it inside x variable. You get? Storing it inside x variable. Then output it. So it's an electronic device that can accept input, process it, and output. We've been able to fulfill a computer. So this is basic terminology, basic processing for a computer language. So now the next thing to explain is some, I will come to data type. I know you have been seeing something like this brace. In this brace, when I say answer, brace, something like this brace, this apostrophe, double apostrophe, I don't know what the name they call it, double quotation at the top. You get, I'm going to explain it. It falls under data type. I'm going to explain it to us. So now, PHP is an interpreter. So it executes this echo first, then execute this. It executes it in line. It just keeps going like that. You get. But if I want it to break it to a new line, what I do is this. You'll see what will happen here now. Okay. So, no, that's not working. How to break to a new line. Let's see if this will work. Okay. That's not working. Is it this forward slash? Okay. Okay, I think I understand why it's not working. So what I was trying to do is, I don't want everything to be choked together on one line. I don't want everything to be choked together on one line. So I think basically what I will do is this. I will explain the syntax to us. Don't worry. Hold on. Slash n. No, not that slash. It's forward slash. It's not breaking it. I have forgotten or what. Break it to a new line. It's not breaking. Ah, the problem somewhere. Okay, there's something wrong. What I'm trying to do is to break hello Tayo and break this answer to a new line. So let's check Google. So that's the fastest, the best thing to do. How to break to new line. So whenever you run into trouble, the first place you go is Google. So Google has the answer for you. All right, so we have a lot of example. You see, this is what I was trying to do. I don't know why it's not accepting it. This. See this. Let's copy and paste it here. Now, okay, I see. I think it's this compiler this online compiler that is giving the problem. So we might not use this. So you can be using this compiler in your own spare time, but I don't want to confuse us. Let's run it from let's run it directly from, let's use we are using there was a test test. There was a test PHP that we created last week. So now what we did was under our htdocs, we create a folder called training PHP. So we're going to run our PHP from there. And I created a file called index. Then I'm able to open it. So let me copy my code here. Let me copy my codes. I'm using VS Code. VS Code is my text editor. You get. So you need a text editor. I prefer to use VS Code. You can prefer to use Notepad. You can prefer to use Notepad++, whatsoever thing you want to use. You get that. So if I want to break to a new line, so welcome to the coding world. So /n. So now, if I want to run this, this is under what? This is under training PHP. So I just go to my website, localhost. I've started my server. Ensure you start your server. Started my server. Training. I think I still it's no longer there. Training PHP. Index.php. Undefined variable. It found a trouble somewhere. On line 6, undefined variable x on line 6. Go to line 6. Undefined variable. You see, it does not understand x here. X was not defined. You can assign an empty value for x here. Let's run it again. So what you do is you come to your browser, localhost, where you are running it from is from your local browser. The PHP code, the PHP folder, where the folder is, under htdocs, then your file name, index.php. I might not put index.php and also run it this way. It's the same thing. So what this means is, by default, every folder on a web app, index is recognized as the default web page. So when you specify index.html or index.php, it executes what is under index automatically. Yeah, so now that's said and done. We want to break to a new line. I must achieve this thing tonight. I must accept it. So these are one of the things you meet up when programming. Some little things begin to give you a headache. Sometimes you just need to change your scope. Well, it's not working here too. It's not working here too. I don't know why. Break to a new line. This one also is not breaking it to a new line. I don't know why it's not doing that. But there's another way out. The other way out is this. I don't want to bore us with that. BR. It's told us to do BR. So this is what we wanted to achieve. That's what I was using the /n. /n is a command that understands that, okay, I want to break this into a new line. But on the other option is to use BR. This brace is an HTML syntax. This HTML syntax is used to break into a new line in HTML. So this is an HTML syntax. Hello, Tayo, answer balabala 6 - 6. So that's said and done. So we're able to understand. So this variable now, variable is able to hold what? Data. It's used to hold the data. I have a question from Joshua. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you. I think you have really gone ahead of us. Thank you so much. So now we want to go to data types. We'll be able to look at variable. Variable is used to hold a value. Now that value, because in computer programming, everything has you must define everything from A to Z. The computer is a dummy, you are the intelligent guy. So whatsoever thing you are assigning to a computer must be defined. You must specify everything. So that now brings us to what we call data type. Because your variable can hold different value. How does the computer know if the value you are holding is integer, alphabet, data, date time, is it a date format? Is it a time format? So we have different kind of data types. So that now brings us to data types. So through that, we'll be learning several other things. So we have several data types on PHP. We have string data type. String data type. String data type is a data type that accepts a value in a generic form as string, as alphanumeric. It accepts it means by default, a variable in PHP is seen as what? As string variable. You get, it's seen as string. String means it sees anything in alphanumeric. Even though you put number, it sees as alphanumeric. Even though you put alphabet, asterisk, it sees as alphanumeric. So how do we declare string? How do we know that this is string? How do you identify that this is string item? This is a string item. This is how we identify. Now, this is a string. Hello, Tayo. How do we identify a string item? This is it. My name. My name is Tayo. So now I identify this as, this means that everything inside this thing, inside this brace, is alphabet. It's seen as a string because it is generic. It can also be, and I am 10 years old. Do you see? Inside this, you find alphabet, you find numbers in it. So because it's your statement, your value is a combination of maybe alphabet or numbers. So we call it a string. It's called a string because it has this quotation, double quotation mark. That's what I identify as a string. So that's why when you see hello Tayo here, I use the double quotation for hello Tayo. So the computer understands it as a string item. So this hello Tayo here is the same thing as show name equals to, what I did here is the same thing as this. Hello Tayo, put your parentheses behind, sure of that. Show name. You see, what I've done here is the same thing. I assign hello Tayo as a string to show name variable. Then I now told the computer to do what? Attribute show name variable. So every time you see show name variable, the computer looks for where we are, whatever we assign to show name variable. What do we assign to it? Whatever is assigned to it, it prints it out. So look at it. You see there will be no difference in this. Look. You see, I try to refresh this page and it's still hello Tayo. Let me change this variable name. Hello Joshua. I saved it. Go back to my browser. Refresh your browser. You see, hello Joshua. Can you see it now? Hello Joshua, meaning that Joshua is stored into show name variable. And it's identified by, this is what we use to identify it as a string. So I can also have a string as my age. Another thing you need to know is we don't put space in defining a variable. You don't say my age. You don't do like this. This is an error. There's no space. Space must not be in a variable name. You've joined it together. I can do this, underscore my age is acceptable. I can put it as this. My age, 10. It recognizes it as string. It doesn't, the computer will take this as string, will not take it as a number. But my age as string, you get? My age as string. It's different from this. It's different from my age as integer. It's different from this. Yeah, so now my name as string, as variable name, I put the double quotation. It's recognized as string. My name as integer, I put an integer value 10. This one is recognized as an integer value. They are two different things. Now, I will tell you why they are different. Echo my name stuff. So this, I want to put a string. It's just an identity, just to tell you, make you know what I'm doing. You get. First of all, let me put BR behind to break it to a new line. BR, my name stuff, dots. Now, you've been saying dot. Dot is for concatenation. Concatenate, meaning concatenation means you are joining two things together. You get? You are joining two variables together. You want to print them along the same line. So that's why you see me here, echo. You see echo variable name, show name, dot. Dot, this means it should execute the next the next value in front of this. So, and this one means break to a new line. You get? Look at this now. Let me remove this. When I try to do this, echo answer, what's all this syntax? My God. You know it. Echo answer, then I put dot x, meaning after you attribute answer, alongside with it, put the value for x in front of it. Concatenation is joining of two variables values together. You get? That's the meaning of dot. That's when we use dot. In other programming language, they use plus. Java use plus, JavaScript use plus, PHP we use dot. So you could see this stuff that this is what I use here. In JavaScript, what is used here? So in Java, what is used here? In Python, what is used here? You just ask Google. That is how you can write, you can master any programming language within hours. Any new programming language. They all follow the same processes. My name stuff is dot. No. Let me do it like this. My name, age. My age doubled. I'm trying to show you something, so forgive me for my example. So I do this plus this. I want to show you the answer for it. My age as string plus my age plus as string is different. I want to show you the difference now. Then add my name as integer plus my name as integer. We are going to see the answer to do. Don't forget your parentheses, put it behind. Let me remove this parenthesis and you will see that we are going to have an error. Let me show you an example. You see? An error. It says syntax error. Unexpected token echo. It's not saying expecting something, expecting this. Look at what it's expecting. Expecting this on line 23. So you go to line 23, you know there's a trouble there. So line 23, because I didn't close this on line 22, it caught an exception on line 23. So you have to close your statement by putting the parentheses behind. You get? So now let us run this code now for us to see. Bam. Well. Okay. So we have this. Okay. If however execute, you know, it's an interpreter, execute from beginning to the end. The first echo is what? Another term for echo is print. Oh, please. Print can also be used in place of echo. Please get that noted down. So you can learn all those stuff. You know, there are a lot of commands in PHP. You can learn them. So while coming to this place, echo my age doubled. Then I did my age as string plus my age as string. My age as doubled. Okay, my age as integer plus my name as integer. You could see that it's output 2020 for both of them. Now I'll tell you why I did that. Normally, it's not supposed to do that because PHP is really weak in terms of its arithmetic operations. It's really weak. In other programming language, rather than having 20 here, what you have is 10-10. 10-10. What you have is 10-10. What you are supposed to have is this. 10-10. 10-10. Because other programming language will see this guy as a string. And what you will be saying is my name as string plus my name as string will be 10 concatenate 10. You get? But PHP on itself, right, treats all of its values by standard as integer. You get? So we are going to in some terms you have to convert some variables data type to what you really want to do per se. So for now, data type really does not matter much in PHP. So I have to bring us to this point so that we can understand that there are data types in PHP, because I don't want to train you on a wrong way and believe that, and you just begin to program and you don't understand data type. There are data types, but by default, PHP does not really take it as that. If PHP see string and the value of that string is an integer, it takes it as an integer, you get. So I just want to explain that to us, you get. So now the next thing is, so that's a part of data types. So we have data types as float. Float is decimal number. If I say .0, .2, PHP will calculate it as decimal automatically. So decimal is float, you see. Now this is what I want you to throw back to us. Line 23 has this error. I had an error here. So I have to refresh it. This is what I wanted to do. This is exactly what I was expecting. No. Let me remove this. This is not what I was expecting. I actually put it within a string. That's why you are seeing 10.2 plus 10.2, because it's seeing it as a string. So let me refresh. Yeah, so now I'm able to calculate. I have my value as decimal now. The string is decimal value. The value within this string is decimal. And it's able to calculate it as a decimal value, 10.2 plus 10.2. That's 10.4. So what we have been able to cover thus far now, we have variables, we have data types. So you need to have idea of what data type. We have different data type. We have data type called Boolean. Boolean is true or false. And have a Ismail, false. You get this is how to identify a Boolean value. Ismail means that is a variable name for Ismail means false. It means female will be the answer. I know Ismail, false, meaning meaning false. You get meaning false. So this is how to write a Boolean data type. This is a Boolean data type, false and true, true and false. You know, you don't need to put it inside brace like this. You don't need to put it inside a string. Yeah, you don't need to do that. So I hope I want to bypass this PHP data type sometimes. It can be twisted. It can make you look as if everything is easy. Yeah, you don't have idea of how everything is, but it's more than that. I need you to know it's more than that. You need to understand data type. So we have another data type called array. Array. So I won't talk about it now. So when the time to learn array comes, I'm going to lead us into it. You get. So you have, so this, you say this training is it simplifies everything for you. On W3 School, tells you PHP string, PHP numbers, you know, it helps you to understand them. You see, PHP math. PHP math comes to the operators in mathematics. Yeah, operator commands in mathematics, like minimum of numbers, maximum of numbers, pi. These are inbuilt. They are inbuilt within PHP. It's the same for all programming language. The reason is that on your computer architecture, the computer architecture has the logic within the I think within the storage, is it within the RAM or so? Within the storage side, we have the logic and the arithmetic logic unit, ALU, arithmetic logic unit. So within the arithmetic logic unit, the computer can by itself process things, mathematical operations like pi, sine, cosine, you know, those things you have in your calculator. So it's embedded in the arithmetic logic unit. So a programming language can be interfacing with those arithmetics on a computer. You can interface on it. So you have syntax for different programming language. You have pi for PHP. You have min, max, absolute value. You know, all those stuff, square root. You see, square root of a number. For example, if I want to calculate square root of a number, I can say, and do like this, cal square root. This is a variable name. I want you to calculate square root. I want you to calculate square root of this guy. This guy. My age as integer. You know, this guy is 10. I want you to calculate it. Calculate it for me. Calculate it. Then show the answer to me. My square root. This answer, which I've stored in that variable. This meeting will soon time up in next 10 minutes again. Don't worry, our next meeting will shift to what do we shift to? Shift to this thing immediately. We're going to use Google Meet. Let me calculate this for us. So it's not saved. Let me save it. Save it and echo it. Let's see the results. You see, my square root is 3.16. That's the square root for 10. This is what I've done. I create a variable to store the square root for this guy, my int as int. Then I echo it, print it out. So accept input, process the input, and output. That's computer. That's computer for you. I've achieved it. So in your code, in your programming, you'll be having a lot of input, processing, output, input, processing, output, input, processing, output, as much as possible. Input, processing, output. Joshua, you can begin to input your questions on the chat and I will be able to respond to them. I have 9 minutes to close now. Input, processing, output. So you keep having these things within your code line. So programming is a way of life. Way of life like your bank statements, how to transfer money in your bank. It's a way of life. You want to transfer money. How is the process? We want to do this, we want to do that, we want to do that one. Then you begin to now begin to follow a code line. Okay, this should store my account balance. This variable should store my account balance. This variable should store the amount I want to remove from my account. That is input. You get? This should be able to do this. This should be able to, and display to the user on the ATM, your account balance is this, or what you're trying to withdraw is not sufficient. You have insufficient funds. Display the response to the user. That is how a computer runs. You get? That's how a computer runs. That's basically how a computer runs. Input, process, then do your logic, your boolean, put boolean, do logic, process, then output. You get? That is the basic thing regarding a computer. No matter the programming language, this is all everything borders around. Input, process, sometimes store your data, retrieve your data, all everything fall under processing, then output it. So that's the basic thing regarding computer, and the basic thing we have been able to cover tonight. You get? We've been able to cover it tonight. Let me reiterate back what we've learned tonight. We've been able to learn the PHP standard, the PHP syntax, the brace within where you must put your PHP code. A statement, at the end of a statement, you put your parentheses, the semicolon, and behind. We've been able to also explain to us commands that are input in PHP. Three commands we've used. We've used the print command. The print command is the same thing as echo. Then we've been able to use square root command. Square root command fall under the arithmetic units, arithmetic operations. So we have many commands you can learn. We have many commands that execute a particular thing for a particular input or a variable. Yeah, I will be able to explain a variable, how to write a variable. Is something is a container that stores a value. You assign a value to it. So whenever you assign a value to a variable, it is being stored in your RAM. It is being stored in your RAM. You get? It's being stored in your RAM, random access memory. It's being stored in your RAM. That is where it's being stored. So you in a portion allocated for your program. If 2 gig RAM is allocated for your program in your operating system, within that space is where your variable will be stored in. So don't let us go. That's the engineering part of programming. You get? So we've understood a variable and how a value can be stored to a variable. We've understood a data type. We've understood how to a data type as string, what string is, how to echo, how to print it out. We show the display to users. We've been able to do some 1 plus 2 calculations, simple calculations, square root and things like that. And we've been able to write different line of code where different input, different outputs on different lines. That's what we've been able to cover for tonight. You get. So I think that is all we can do for tonight. So from next week, we'll go operator. We've handled operators. Operators. We've really handled it. We've handled operators. Assignment, yeah, operators. Plus, okay, we'll talk more on operators next week. We'll take operators and if and else. So this is where we are now going to the real work. So now, David, if you have any question, you can let me know, please. I know all this thing you're familiar with it. I'm sure that from here you'll be able to, with your knowledge on JavaScript, you'll be able to, if you're able to install PHP entirely on your system, you're able to fly high. Since you understand JavaScript before, these basic things will be able to give you a cover up, you're able to cover some grounds on time. So next week, we are going to look at if and else statement, and we are going to look at how PHP can be within an HTML. How we put PHP within an HTML. We'll progress, and we'll also cover functions, loops, array. We'll go faster next week. So let me answer some questions. So David, if you have a question, you can make it known to me. All right, let me look at Joshua's question. I can't load my index.php despite saving it on htdocs on the exam directory. Sorry. Okay, issue resolved. Oh, good. Bravo. So Joshua, welcome to the world. That's the trouble you face. So you face trouble. Sometimes you don't know what is going wrong. So now what you've just done is you've just added an experience to yourself. The way you solved it is an experience. You get. So that's how it keeps adding up. It's a step-by-step process, like a small baby taking a step for the first time. Makes a mistake, learns from it. So that's congratulations for that. So welcome to the world. So by next week, before next week, please try to cover up all other. You can cover up all other tutorials here. You know, you can cover up a lot of it. So that will be all for tonight. I don't know if there's any question at all. Please, I need your feedback. David, I've answered to Joshua. I think Joshua is all right at the moment. Joshua, you can give me a chat if you are fine with tonight's training, or if there's anything that you do not understand. David, you can unmute. You can let me know if you are clear for tonight's training. Just be open. Just let me know if there's anything that needs explanation.
It's fine. I understood what you said, and I'll go and do as you said. I will go through the lectures here.
Have you installed XAMPP? Do you have XAMPP on your system?
Yes. I use Linus actually. I switched to Linus last year.
Powerful man.
So
good. Oh God.
I see him for the past 2 months. But I've picked up now. I'm starting to use them.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Joshua, let me know. Do you have the VMware on your system? Having Linus on it? Let me know in the chat box. All right, David, thank you so much. So welcome. So God help you in your Linus environment. So we can you can take it on from there. So next week we'll cover more grounds. Yeah, by God's grace. So next week, so for you, David is just going to be an addition. So I know the point where you really need this training is when we begin with how to create APIs. Create APIs, integration of your PHP with database backend. That's going to be the core, where the core training will start from. And like maybe next 2-3 class, we should be able to start from there. So nevertheless, thank you for joining tonight. I truly, really appreciate. So we'll upload this to our YouTube. Yeah, so for Joshua, I am fine. I've practiced what was taught. I'm still having challenge with having Linux. I'm yet. All right, outside of this meeting, let me know your challenge, Joshua. So we'll take it together from there. You get. So VMware can be very challenging. So, but don't worry, everything will be fine. So thank you for tonight, for joining tonight's training. Let me just drop this on our Telegram channel. So if you have anyone that wants to learn, please introduce them to this training so that it's not what we are doing is not being wasted. So thank you and God bless you. Bye and good night.
Good night, sir.
Bye.